All right, what's going on, guys? Dr. Matt here, host of the Rocks Lab podcast. We have another special guest on today, Nick over at Evolve Fitness. What's going on?
How's it going, guys?
Doing good, doing good. Yeah, thanks for jumping on today. I know we were just talking off air. You've had a busy week so far. You were just doing some CrossFit Games training down in Louisiana.
Yes, yeah, I have been good friends and following Brandon Luckett for a while. We competed against one another for years. Not long ago, we started the Imam Company. Felt like the right fit for what I needed at this point in my life with having kids and businesses and other priorities. But it's been an awesome few years, kind of following him, following his training, having the opportunities to go out and train with him in preparation for the game. So.
That's awesome. And Louisiana, I mean, it's hot. I'm up in Rhode Island. It's hot here. I'm sure it was hot down there.
It was definitely I would say the humidity was the biggest difference. It's pretty hot in Pennsylvania right now as well. But the high humidity made it a little bit tougher when we were doing quite a bit of outdoor running and biking and swimming and all sorts of stuff preparing. So I definitely felt it, but it was
Um,
good.
and you are, how far out are you from the games at this point?
We leave next Saturday, so July 18th. I'll fly out to San Jose. We'll have a couple fun days with the kids, and then we'll transfer over to an Airbnb Monday when we'll check in, and then we get started Tuesday. And I believe that's the 22nd. So,
That's awesome. And
yeah.
uh and so what does your training look like from like now till then? Are you kind of like in taper mode a little bit? Or are you still pushing metcons pretty hard or
Yeah, it's always tough to balance the game season. This year, I made it a priority to try and focus on going to an in-person semi. So last year, I did no competitions. I did everything online, and then my first in-person competition was the CrossFit Games. So I was like, I can't do that again. Just a little bit overwhelming, hard to kind of, keep the nerves down and things like that. So this year, my goal was to do an in-person competition to get that preparation, get back into an in-person, competition where I'm with other people and in that environment. So that was really cool. But that's in my opinion, that's the hardest part of the season, right? Punching your ticket to the CrossFit Games. You have to be peaking at the right times. And I feel like we did a really good job preparing for that. So now it's definitely about getting volume, but really trying to stay healthy more than anything. I think this is like the perfect opportunity to overtrain. So you don't want to do that. So you really have to listen to your body, be smart with recovery and how you're eating, and just making sure you're doing all of those things properly. And then adding some of the nuanced stuff in, right? So CrossFit Games traditionally throws in some different varieties and different mixes from like strongman competition stuff and those types of things. So getting touches on a lot of that type of training that you don't maybe normally do in your everyday sessions, just to be prepared, for the unknown. So
that's super cool. And I love that piece of the CrossFit game is like it's the known unknowns. You don't know what they're gonna throw at you. I feel like especially this year there's such like a what's it gonna be because there's just like the changes over the past year or two. It's like they could throw something crazy at you.
yeah, and obviously the individuals being the 20th year anniversary type deal, they're talking about 20 events. We really have no idea how many events we're going to get. They've been releasing some workouts, so right now we know two of them. I haven't tackled either of them yet. I'll probably end up hitting one of them later this afternoon or this evening. Um, it worked out just kind of the way I've been running around and stuff that was going to be the best fit. So I'll probably tackle one of them later, continue just doing, my normal training. And as workouts start to release, I feel like I'm probably have, another 3 to 5 days of really getting after it before I probably should deload to let the body heal up and rest and get ready.
Fair, fair. Is I know I saw some stuff online. Is one of those workouts the pool workout or is that uh
So yeah, they posted some teasers. Castro's been posting some teasers. He has posted stuff at a pool.
sure.
We haven't gotten any info as to whether we will be swimming or not. And yeah, I mean, I've been adding swimming into the training quite a bit. When I was out in Louisiana, we swam a ton. Brandon's also in preparation for an Ironman.
Oh,
So we were mixing a lot of the road riding, running, and swimming into the mix. So it was good to get that in, and especially against another competitor who is fit and can get you outside your comfort zone. So.
did they tell you too? Is there any degree of, obviously San Jose could be quite hot. Will be quite hot. Is there any degree of outdoor workouts that they're gonna have? Do you know, or is it unknown?
I don't- yeah, I think it's still unknown. I mean, they kind of keep releasing info in small waves right now. Um, I I know they've been teasing some bike stuff and all. I love biking. It's been something I've done since I was a young kid. I've raced BMX and things, so I really hope we get some access to that and we get to do some biking. And last year we had a big run in the very beginning. That was the first event, and then everything else was pretty much indoors. So I am hoping we get some of that variety in fitness that they're planning for the individuals as well. So.
That's so cool. Well, I mean, to some degree, I know like having some level of like heat adaptation is good. So it's probably was that planned as far as like going to Louisiana, like getting used to that like really hot heat for a little bit to
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. With one, just training with Brandon and alongside the crew of athletes that he has out there is just a huge push. But two, getting in and acclimated to some different temperatures and some humidities and things like that I haven't. I actually qualified out of Colombia, which was insanely humid. So I went, I went, yeah, out of the country for that event, and that was an entire another monster. One, it was humid, and two, they had high elevation, which I wasn't
or
really aware of until getting out there, which was probably better. I'd get worked up over weird stuff like that. So you kind of just roll with the punches. But yeah, definitely a big part of preparation was, going out to Louisiana and suffering in some heat.
that's cool. Yeah. Um, so this will be your fourth time? I think
Yep.
yeah, fourth. So
Fourth.
you're is not new to you at this point. You're I mean, obviously anytime you make it to the game, that's probably is an incredible accomplishment. But what are you looking to accomplish this year? The 2026.
Oh, I mean, every year I tell myself I'm retiring and somehow I end up back in this position. I'd be lying if I said, I didn't thoroughly enjoy it. It is truly an escape for me. Working out and fitness and kind of just shutting my brain off and letting all the worries kind of go by the wayside and just, getting after it has always been something fun. But each year you kind of learn and you adapt and you get a better idea and feeling for how these in-person competitions play out, and really understanding, you need to capitalize on every point that you can. So it's about being really smart on the field itself while you're competing, understanding, what the people around you are doing, especially when you're on like max lift events and stuff, because there's a lot of room to make up points in those environments, and it's also very easy to make mistakes and go too big when it was unnecessary. So I learned a lot last year, and every year that you go, right, you have a goal of getting on the podium. I would say my goal this year is absolutely to stand on that podium. But going into the season, I would say top five was kind of where I saw myself, and I was knocking on the door there last year. So I think with a little bit of a smarter game plan, and better preparation overall, I feel fitter this year than I was last year. So that's exciting. Um, and yeah, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, I was looking at your some of your stats from this year. Let me pull it up right real quick so I don't get it wrong. But overall, 2026. Correct me if I'm wrong. First in the 35 to 39 age group in the U.S. and for the CrossFit Open, and uh, second worldwide.
Yeah, yeah,
That's unreal.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
unreal.
I got a little bit lucky. So I honestly, I've told this person this exact same thing. Sam Pugh, who is a well-known athlete. She's, been traveling around and competing. She competes at a high level. She also is an EMOMCO athlete, and she's also a Pennsylvania resident. She reached out to me through Brandon and was prepping for this year. And at the time, I was still a little unsure of whether or not I was going to try and compete and make a push again. Every year gets a little harder as the kids get older. And she was like, whether you're going to compete or not, it'd be great to have a training partner. So I was like, hey, why don't you come on down? And that turned into several of those long weekend sessions, just grinding together, and it relit a fire. And the timing was perfect. It really prepped me leading up to the Open this year. So I was definitely ahead of where I was last year going into that. And it always comes down to how the workouts are programmed and if they're in your wheelhouse and stuff. So um, I surprised myself, to be honest. I definitely wouldn't have anticipated finishing that high. I knew I wanted to be in the mix, but I ran a pretty good race through the Open, so it was exciting.
So thinking of the 35 to 39, do you know who came in first, worldwide?
I I don't want to butcher his name, but I think it was like Ludwig something. He was maybe from Finland,
Okay,
or yeah, outside of the US. Don't know
gotcha.
much about him. Didn't compete against him last year. But there are a ton of familiar names
Yeah,
that I competed against last year that are also going to the games again this year. So
like that 35 to 39, that's a stacked age group.
it is. It is. It's it's an interesting one, right? You don't anytime I say, well, we're masters now, I have people at the gym who are like, you're not a master, you're age group. So they don't like me calling myself old yet, but we have more I would say maybe one of the most or more stacked divisions than I've seen in a long time at this age group. So got a lot of big name heavy hitters who've been in the sport for a long time and have qualified for several CrossFit Games individually, on teams, you name it, and some past champions and stuff. So it'll be good.
That's super. I mean, coming from I've done CrossFit and I'm doing triathlon now, and especially with the endurance sports, those like that 35 to 39 age group, it's like just there's just decades of training that has led people up to that point where just like there's just some really good athletes, especially with CrossFit, how it's matured over 10, 15 years. Like there's just some incredible talent pool in that age group. It's not like it was like maybe like 5 or 10 years ago. It's like
Yeah,
some good athletes there.
no, 100%. I think over time, kind of like what you're saying, you learn to train smarter, maybe not harder.
Sure.
So like for me, a big thing over the last couple of years has just been understanding relative intensity. Like I might not have 2, 3 hours in a day to train anymore, but if I can really apply a ton of intensity and focus into that hour training session that I have, I'll still get as much benefit out of that as I used to when I just wanted to train all the time and I felt beat up all the time. So definitely I've gotten smarter and I feel like that works in your favor as you age and start to think about the dumb stuff you used to do.
No, no more just maxing out all the time randomly and just
Yeah.
pushing your head into the wall with a crazy
Yeah.
McDonald's.
No, exactly. Going off of percentages that are, 3, 4 years old, thinking you're still lifting the same
Yeah,
weight. So
fair. And so you mentioned you have two kids.
two. Yep.
Two kids. How old are they?
Uh, th- well, right now they're both 4 years old. So we had true Irish twins. July 19th was my first daughter, and then July 1st was my second. So every year they're going to be the same age for about 18 days, but they'll be turning 4 and 5 this year. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Our so their birthdays, yeah, they're right around the corner. Like you
Yeah.
mentioned, that's very cool. And you mentioned as with having kids versus prior, you've had to like kind of change your training and adapt to that. Um, how has that switch been for you as far as like your routine? Because you're still doing very well with that and performing at a very high level. And I think a lot of people struggle.
Yeah. I think your perspective changes, right? Like your priorities are different. You have two toddlers that rely on you and they become the kind of the main focus. And I think the most unique thing over the last 2 years specifically is they're at an age where they can see and watch me train and they enjoy hanging out at the gym or at home when I'm training in the garage with me because they can swing around on the rings and do, kind of fun stuff. So that has been extremely motivating because, they're seeing me chase something and they might not understand maybe what that means yet, but they are definitely seeing and witnessing, the time and energy and hard work that I've been putting in to chase, a goal, which is, eventually or hopefully to stand on a podium at the CrossFit Games. So,
Oh, that's super cool. I'm skipping ahead because I'm curious about it. You're co-owner with Abby at Evolve Fitness in Philadelphia, and I want to kind of get into that backstory a little bit. But one of the big events that sparked my interest was you guys are running an event. I hope I don't butcher the name. The YoungStars HYROX event, which is for youth, which is the
yes,
first. Correct me if I'm wrong. The first simulation that's officially through HYROX with center equipment in the U.S. for
it
youth,
is. It is.
which is
Yep.
pretty cool.
It is awesome. Yeah. I believe the first ever scheduled Young Stars HYROX event is in Salt Lake City, maybe in September timeframe. So it's coming up. We obviously got super lucky with our sponsors and working with Kevin and the people that perform better to have gotten that equipment in as quickly as we did. And we're putting on a pretty amazing event this weekend, where we'll be, hosting a ton of kids between the ages, I believe, of 10 and 14, who will run, yeah, the first Young Stars High Rock simulation, which is awesome.
So obviously your daughters aren't quite there yet, but could you see them potentially at some point doing something like that?
Yeah, yeah, they already, it's funny with kids all the time. People joke, the kids have better squat forms than most people. So they see me in the garage, they're always trying to mimic and do things that I'm doing and they really do move really well. And my dad had a huge impact on me growing up with fitness and movement and technique and things like that. So my goal is, whatever direction life takes them to make sure at least they have that same type of foundation, for safety reasons, but also to do hopefully fun stuff and like to train like dad did. So
And I'm glad you brought because that was gonna be my next question. So that's one thing that especially parents and people always ask, like safety. Is it safe? And I know from a PT background, the literature shows like yes, like with proper coaching, proper movement, it's super safe. It's more than safe. It's better to have kids doing these movements than not having doing these movements. But do you find you get a lot of questions like that with maybe people in the gym or around
yeah,
people?
I think ultimately there's always been this notion that, right, if you start weight training too early, it's going to stunt your growth. And I think that lingered for a long time and it ultimately scared parents away. But I think there's an importance to weight training if it's done properly, right? Working in some unilateral skill and balance work and those types of things. Yeah, you shouldn't be maybe maxing out these kids, but putting them underweight and priming their nervous systems and creating adaptation for them to get stronger faster and do cool things that translate to sport, I think is so important. So I've been lucky to be able to work with all athletes in all different sports, where we've seen insane progress because of just a very high level of focus towards the type of training that they're doing. And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to get into this was I had coaches, in addition to my father, that had huge impact on me as an athlete growing up and playing different sports, and that resonated really well to a point where eventually I was like, depending on where I go in life, maybe this is where I, want to get to, or a direction that I would eventually, hopefully, maybe land in, where I can give back, some of that advice and knowledge and help other kids, chase their dreams. So
Oh, that's a great answer, and I know it's like it's one of those myths that like just it doesn't seem to want it dies slowly, but it does seem like a lot of people are finally coming to terms like okay, this is good, this is safe, this is good for the kids, good for the community. And so with the High Rocks Young Stars event, so a lot of people that may have like trained for High Rocks, done a High Rocks, seen a High Rocks, the first thing in their head might be like, oh my God, how could a child do this? But obviously
yeah.
there's differences. Like so, can you explain maybe to people like how what the difference is between this event and normal High Rocks event?
Yeah, so if you run a high rocks, I think one of the biggest things obviously is the run route. You're running 1,000 meters between every single run, so it is a reduced total volume. I'm pretty sure it's between 2 and 250 meters, so they're still running a decent chunk, but it's fairly reduced. And then from the stations. At each station, you have, maybe less total distance or lighter weights or things like that. So we'll have, kettlebells that are set up for the Young Stars weights. We'll have wall balls set up for the Young Stars weights. The distances on the ski erg and the rower are slightly reduced. So the volume in total is reduced and set up to give them the best opportunity to perform and perform safely. So
That's super cool. Are you finding that kids are just having an absolute blast doing it?
yeah, I mean, Hyrox has exploded onto the scene,
Yeah.
and kids love to run and play and jump and climb and throw things and do all this stuff. And I see I I personally feel like we've seen an uptick in fitness for youth. I'm seeing more and more kids getting involved with their parents in group fitness classes and things like that. So, the our partner in this event, the Newtown Athletic Club and the NAC, they have a massive kids program. So it was really cool because they also have High Rocks classes and other things that they're running there, and they have a huge mixed range of High Rocks kids classes to adult classes and stuff. So getting that into the opportunity for them to come and run their first race, because outside of the normal High Rocks, kids can't really perform in that unless they're going to perform the prescribed repetition in an open division or pro division or whatever it would be. So that first ever Young Stars race for High Rocks, which would be in September or whatever time frame in Utah. That's also a big order to pack your kids up and travel to Utah or somewhere to do an event like that. That takes a lot of planning and money and things like that. So giving them the opportunity to come and do it, with us in a local event in a local environment, but give them the best possible feel of what a High Rocks race would look like, might open up the doors for them to run additional races or things like that to see if their kids truly enjoy it, and we hope to do that. So
Yeah, I mean, I totally see it. I mean, you have kids doing that at school. I mean, middle school kids, high school kids doing, they're doing track and field, they're doing sports. Like it's in the essence, like High Rocks is kind of like a decathlon of like many different events in one. Like why not try it? Why not have fun with it?
no, exactly.
So that's a good point too. So it's the Salt Lake City is the first like official High Rocks event, not sim but event. So you probably are having people fly from all over the country to maybe world all over the
Yeah.
world potentially.
Yeah, I mean I would say being the first ever, and I don't personally know if they have more planned yet or they're going to see how it goes or what. So I would assume, kids from all over the place, if their parents are involved in High Rocks and they've been doing it and their kids are enjoying it, we'll probably see kids from just about all over the world come in to do this first ever, Young Stars race. So
I could totally because I mean obviously High Rocks is huge in Europe, so I could totally see like hey like Mike I do High Rocks with my kid like he loves doing it, let's go to Salt Lake City do it together, like I could
yeah,
totally
no,
see that.
absolutely.
No, that's really cool. So I wanted to ask you guys, and just broad strokes questions too. So you're co-owners with Abby over at Evolve. How did that come about? Are you from Philadelphia, or how'd you end up there?
Yeah, so I've moved kind of all over the place. Prior to Philly, I had lived in Vegas. I had worked at CrossFit Max Effort. Before that, I was at Invictus in San Diego. So I've been a part of some really big CrossFit communities. I knew eventually I wanted to, you know, potentially open my own gym. So when we ultimately moved home, when my wife and I decided we wanted to have a family and be closer to our extended family, who was all still in Pennsylvania, we moved back, and that's how the gym started. And then Abby was a member at the gym for a while. Her husband Ryan actually was one of my first coaches. So in the beginning, I was running classes from open to close, and luckily I had some people who were interested, Ryan being one of them, so I brought him on. Abby just had started really her cross or functional fitness journey, and I personally feel like it changed who she was. She said she was this social butterfly before. I think she's lying. I think it really brought her out of her shell, and she just, was always a ball of joy, and the community and the people around her always loved her, and she was always trying to help out, and doing other things or being a part of the gym and helping with community events or things like that. So, she was the perfect person to bring on. You know, no one can tell you how to open and run a business perfectly. It's a lot of trial and error, and it's terrifying. You go through tons of ups and downs, and there's so many aspects and things that you have to learn along the way. So surrounding yourselves one with like-minded individuals who are passionate is super important. And I think anyone who says they can do it on their own would be lying. So bringing on Abby has been a huge blessing to me. She's added values in a lot of areas that I knew I lacked, to help really bring kind of the Evolve into a full picture of a well-oiled machine. And since having her join, or become a partner, it's we've been wildly successful, and she's brought a ton of value, and it's been pretty awesome.
That's super cool. So, with your gym in Philadelphia, what type of so do you have like you have class based functional fitness? I'm sure you have the HYROX classes. I'm sure you do personal training
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a pretty big staff. We offer a little bit of all the above. So functional fitness is group fitness classes, upwards of, 25 athletes we offer in class setting. Those classes run all day. We also have the hybrid class, which is a high rock style class, that are 30-minute classes, which I'll defend. 30 minutes seems like a short class, but they are packed with literally nonstop fitness, and based around high rocks races and endurance adaptation and things like that. So people really, really love that because it gives them an opportunity to get in and get out, because everyone has, other jobs, their kids, their responsibilities. So that's actually really taken off over the years, which has been really cool to see. But yeah, all my staff offers. We have nutrition based stuff. We have personal training that they can offer, online programming, all of that kind of stuff. So we have a pretty unique variety of coaches with different skill sets that offer a vast amount of different opportunities in the fitness spectrum. So
It's a one stop shop.
yep,
Not at all.
yep.
And then I wanted to ask you too, how did you end up getting into, because you've been in CrossFit for a long time, how did you end up getting into CrossFit in the first place? Did you have any sort of
Phew.
sport before that?
Yeah, I have a pretty crazy story with the
All
CrossFit
right.
stuff. So, my health teacher in high school was Josh and Tanya Wagner. So if you've been around long enough, Tanya Wagner won the CrossFit Games in 2009.
Oh my God.
So when I was a junior in high school, which was 2007, they had already been doing CrossFit and trying to bring it into our PE program at school, just like different styles of fitness testing and health and those types of stuff. So as an athlete at Souderton High School, where I went, they had essentially been like, hey, why don't you come over? We can teach you some things. So at the time, I was like, sure, I love working out. This will be awesome. It'll be fun. And I remember going and taking my first CrossFit class and absolutely getting destroyed. Um, and to me at that time, based on who I was and what I was doing, I essentially was like, I need this, like I love this. And that was at an early time frame. So I had gone to college to play football, where at that time CrossFit football was also becoming
Oh
more
yeah.
popular. That
Yep.
was a John Wellborn program, and Josh and Tanya had a good relationship with John, so I did a lot of CrossFit football stuff through those years in preparation to playing college football. And then I'd come home and I would train with them again and do CrossFit football stuff in preparation for each season, as I went through college. But yeah, I mean, it was hugely impactful. One, that I had a CrossFit Games champion as my first ever CrossFit coach. And they taught me a ton, and really just made me a better athlete all around. So I was maybe a little undersized being a defense. I played linebacker, but I definitely was faster and stronger than just about anyone on the field, because of what those guys taught me, and just moving properly with good technique and understanding mobility and how to eat right and all those types of things. So it was really cool.
And so about what age or what grade was this when she was your teacher?
So junior, so I was 2007. I started getting into CrossFit. Yeah.
High school.
High school. Yep.
No way. That's awesome.
Yep.
So you guys weren't doing presidential fitness tests. You were probably doing like Fran.
No. Yeah,
Like,
my first ever test was a 5 round workout, 400-meter run, 15 pull-ups. And being young and in sports, I they taught me how to kip, and I did my first ever kipping pull-up workout, and I couldn't straighten my arms for about 2 weeks.
yep.
So I had that like first ever T-Rex arm
Yeah.
situation. And then my second ever workout was Filthy 50, which on
Oh,
paper
yeah.
doesn't seem terrible. There's a lot of body weight, jumping pull up, things like that, but it absolutely demolished me. And it was like that for week after week after week of just getting crushed. And I enjoyed it. I was, it made me understand that there was a hole in what I was doing and there was a lot to learn, and a lot of things that I could build on and grow on, and that's what kept me going, and also being competitive. I have, three brothers, so very competitive by nature, and that, that was something we shared together, and most of us still do CrossFit to this day, which is cool.
That's so awesome. Yeah, I feel like most people that, and me included, the first CrossFit workout I did, not that I was cocky going into it, but I'm like, oh, I played hockey. I've been working out for a while. I've been doing
Yeah.
bodybuilding stuff in the gym. Like, I'll be fine. This is just a class based workout, and absolutely just demolished me. And I feel like I've heard that from so many, especially in the early days with CrossFit. Is like, and then after that, you're like, oh, I need this. I'm missing out on some fitness.
Yeah, and the other thing is like you go in these classes, and this is the OG days, so 2007, that's like way, way back, but there was 40, 50-year-old, guys and gals that were whooping my butt, and I was like, what in the world? Like, how is this happening? And that was another motivator. Like, these people are, how much older than me, but they move better, they look extremely fit, and that was, part of the push and drive to get into it. So,
That's super cool. All right, so I got two more questions for you, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. But so first one, obviously you're extremely high level with fitness. So I know a lot of people who might be watching are either doing they're doing high rocks, they're doing programming, they're doing functional fitness, and some people are obviously looking to take things to the next level. So what would be a piece of advice for someone that's really looking to, like, what separates someone from just being kind of like, if they're just average fitness to like elite fitness? Like, what do you need to do? What do you
ooh.
need, like, mindset fitness? Like, a piece of advice.
Yeah, I would say it's, I think to myself, when I first got into the sport of fitness, really, and the what I look back on now the most is that training more doesn't mean better,
Mm,
more progress. So I was someone who leaned into what I was seeing on social media and things at the time, which just seemed like people training all of the time. And that's definitely not the ticket item to being healthy, or reaching that elite fitness level. Because behind the scenes, what people don't see is all the additional time of zone two training and accessory work and things like that you're doing to keep yourself healthy. They only see, the fun stuff that's put on social media. So really focus on the fundamentals. Building a strong body comes from, a lot of strength training. Again, understanding mobility and nutrition and those things, and those have to be dialed in for you to put out, one, and a solid effort, but two, obviously just being healthy through training in general. I think a lot of people could get really fit, just in the class structure, where you're, coming in and pushing yourself around other people on a day-to-day basis. And then maybe when you're, at the upper echelon of that class, then you should start to maybe entertain what it would look like following a competitor's program, or adding a little bit of additional programming from a coach with a good knowledge base to maybe sprinkle in some additional strength and things like that are going to help, continue to build on some of those numbers and things like that. So, I hope that answers it. It's a
great.
pretty loaded question.
Yeah, there's
But
not much
the
variable.
yeah, the biggest thing is just don't overtrain. It literally will just lead to a nightmare of injuries and things that are hard to reverse. Yeah, if I could say one thing, take mobility and flexibility really seriously. The more mobile you are and the better flexibility you have, the better positions you can be in, and ultimately, the more adverse, or not averse, the less, potential injury type things can happen, and it'll just set you up to be super successful. So I think that the more we can get the youth and kids understanding that too, the better progress we'll see with them as well.
No, I love that too because like back in the day, you might have been able to get away with like we were talking about earlier, like endless amount of volume and endless amount of random intense workouts, but the competition is too competitive now. You can't
Yeah.
just do random amounts of volume and random amounts of workouts. So I
For
think
these guys, it's become a full-time job for a lot of athletes, and
that's the reality.
that's yeah.
And from a PT standpoint, I love the fact that you really highlighted mobility, mobility, mobility. Like so, yeah, I love that. All right, so wrap up question. Typically, what I ask. So I love Philadelphia. I was just there. I went to my buddies at a big Eagles fan. So we went to an Eagles game at the link. In I think it was October or November or something like that. And it was cold, man. I should have wore an extra jacket.
It does.
I was
It
freezing.
does get chilly.
But we had a good time. We had the steak and cheese and everything. But what is the? I guess is it 95? Is that the main highway that runs through Michigan?
Yeah, nightmare. The worst highway ever. I'm sure everyone has that in their city, but it's
Well,
always under construction. It was under construction before I left, and I came back years later. It's still under construction. Yeah.
so the way I phrase this question, this is taken from Tim Ferriss, another podcaster. But if so, you get to own one of those billboards on 95 in Philadelphia for the day, and basically the premise is like if you want to say something to your community, say something to your city, or maybe you have a favorite quote, a favorite mantra, or something. And I know that I'm putting you on the spot with that, asking this another loaded question, but what would you if you had that billboard for the day? What would you put on it?
Stop putting yourself or your fitness on the back burner.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good. And then
Yeah.
evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. It's too easy to make excuses of why you can't take that next step in your fitness journey. And do feel as though we're seeing this uptick in people understanding and wanting to get healthier and fitter and build more longevity for themselves and to be around longer for the people around them. And I think that's super important. And the more we can get that message out that, what we do is inviting to all people. Doesn't matter if you were an athlete or not. Workouts are always scalable and we can help in any way to help you reach whatever your goals are. So that's the fun part.
Love it. I should ask this as a second question. I'll ask Abby this one too when I talk to her. What's the best place to get a steak and cheese in Philadelphia?
Angelo's.
All right. Do you think she'll say the same thing?
I don't know. There's a lot of really good spots. There's obviously a lot of famous spots, but Angelo's, they also are known for their pizza, so that some people might be like, "Oh, that's more pizza than cheesesteak," but their cheesesteak is top notch.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then okay, so to wrap up, where can people find you on Instagram? What's your
Yeah,
Instagram?
just Nick Hecht, Nikhecht. Just yep.
And then Evolve Fitness.
Yep, Evolve Fitness PHL is our gym. It's in Old City, Philadelphia. If you're ever, yeah, looking for a spot to get some fitness in, we have a vast majority of classes and offerings. I mean, like I said, we can help you reach whatever your journey looks like or your goals look like, and we'd be happy to help.
And is it too late to sign up for the YoungStars HYROX YoungStars event, or is it?
Yeah, that just closed out. There's a lot of behind the scenes that goes into the planning and scheduling of the heats and all of that kind of stuff. So we are officially locked out
Good. Good.
signups, but it'll be a super fun day. We're super excited.
That's cool. Awesome. All right, Nick, thank you so much for being on.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it. All right, Roadie Strength signing off.